Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana has cautioned government against the inclusion of its members' investments in government's debt restructuring process without engaging with them. In a statement, the association warned that any disregard of this caution will be met with the fiercest resistance yet from members. Let's bring in Associate Professor of Finance at the Andrews University, Professor Williams Pepra. Happy New Year to you. Prof, the pushback from individual bondholders is getting fierce. We are not making headway, and the government may be in a difficult position.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year to you, Daryl. Daryl, this was anticipated. Normally, IMF advised that anytime a country is trying to go into debt restructuring, you need proper consultation with the creditors. If you look at our case, because of the time, the shortening of time, government could not do that. And all we have seen that most of the issues that government has come out with has come to meet some form of challenges. So individual debt bondholders, they are within their right to request for engagement with government. Listening to the news, I noticed that what they really want to see is that government is also taking part of the burden sharing, which is probably missing. So they feel that like government is only pushing everything on the individual bondholders. That is why we are seeing this particular challenge. So it's the onus on government to demonstrate that they are also taking part of the burden sharing. I'm sure that the 30% salary reductions for political appointees is not sitting well with individual bondholders. Possibly the talk of government reducing its size and also probably restructuring the government to reduce duplicity of activities and roles will really help. So as you heard from Alan Chamartin, I think that he's also pointed it out that it is time that we do this. Government must give that signal that I'm also prepared and taking some kind of measures. The government must portray that, yes, we are poor, and he's living in that kind of life, but not to show a different lifestyle to Ghanaians. That is why we are seeing these particular challenges. On the other side of a bond instrument, I come back to financial education. People or individuals have the view that when you purchase government instrument, there's no risk. It is not true. Any asset on this earth has a risk. So in the case of purchasing a Ghana bond, there's what we call the country risk. So as you were anticipating a return, this situation should have been anticipated, so that the hopes should have been toned down. But that kind of education has not gone down well with Ghanaians. We always think that if you invest in government instruments, it's a safe haven and you will not lose your money. But in finance, we know that government is also carries some risks. We call it country risks, like we have seen sovereign risks, and that is why this is happening.
Well, we heard earlier from Professor Vera Fiado, who is urging government to intensify negotiations with the individual bondholders. You say that the onus is on government. How else can government convince these bondholders?
Government will be able to do that. If they tell Ghanaians why we got to this stage. We have been in denial for a very long time.
But I guess a lot of people know why we are at this place right now.
They want government to admit and speak that one to their faces. That is why they want to meet government. And I'm sure government has also been mindful, being a political party, does not want to suffer some kind of damages. So they are also hiding behind consultants and writing into the media. That's why this is not happening. But from the way the discussion is going, that kind of engagement is needed. It may derail government program or time plan to get the IMF deal coming in first quarter this year. If government wants to go on that line to go and engage individual bondholders and tell them why we are broke, why we are in this insolvency situation and why they must agree to accept some kind of debt restructuring. Let me put it also that government also have the option to go to IMF and ask IMF that I am having challenges with my creditors. Can you lend money to us in arrears? Meaning that we will accept or we are not going to do a debt restructuring, but we are going to accept all claim payment. But we will tell our creditors that whenever we have money, we will pay. So that is the other option to government to convince IMF why they must lend to Ghana in arrears. IMF is requiring that we show debt sustainability. But from what is happening, it's going to be a challenge if government really wants to go on that route. To me, their best bet is to look at going to IMF to tell them that we are having challenges with our creditors. So we want to tell our creditors, well, we owe you, but when your bond is due, we will defer the payment. Anytime we have money, we will pay you. Sometimes it will really soften the grounds, and then government may use taxation to be able to raise revenue. And when IMF money comes, you'll be able to use that one to support government projects. Also, there are some of the bonds that really, looking at it, the inflows are guaranteed. Like ESLA, it is tied to some kind of inflows. We are Ghanaians already paying the taxes. So it doesn't mean that government is going to suffer any major challenges. Can that one be excluded? Because Ghanaians are already paying the taxes, and when the tax comes per the agreement, government will use that one to pay investors.
I guess
that kind of, we call it debt profiling. It must be looked at by government as well.
while we look at the other options, I guess one of the reasons people are opposed to this is because they hear government talk and not act. For instance, there are questions about the size of the government, which people have raised, and so far, no action from the president on this matter.
I mean, I'm sure that he must currently, if he engages the sentiments of Ghanaians, this is something that Ghanaians want to be done. The size of government really needs to be looked at. Let me put it in a simple terms. Once you are rich, now you are poor. So you live as a poor man. You don't continue to live that you are rich. So that is what Ghanaians want the president to do, to admit that we are poor. Yes, we believe that you can turn things around, but at the moment, live as a poor man to reduce the size of the government.
Okay, so does the March date for the IMF board approval seem likely now, following this stiff opposition from bondholders, and what will be the implications?
I mean, it does not. Well, when we take the local investors, where it doesn't seem to be very good, that government will be able to achieve the March date. It depends on the kind of discussion that will happen with the external debt holders. That one too may also seem to drag a little bit. So there's probably, to me, there's that probability that we will not be able to get this deal signed in March until maybe IMF meets in the middle of the year, which is June. What IMF is waiting for is that we come to them with assurance that we have a plan for debt sustainability. The posture of the local domestic investors are not very good for Ghana to get that deal signed by the end of March. Unless IMF itself may also try to come in and really assist Ghana. Already, we've heard of the talk, IMF leading the discussion to ask multinational companies to give us some debt reliefs, and then the Paris clubs to give us debt relief. So maybe if IMF would really want to assist Ghana and Gambia, for instance, they themselves will have to waive that restriction on the line that you need to show debt sustainability before we give you funds. If not, it will be very difficult for Ghana. The Ministry of Finance and his team must go to IMF. I mean, it's some kind of, we plead and then some sober heart to convince them that if you don't come to our aid, our country will be in difficult situations.
All right, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Professor Williams Wiprat, the Associate Professor of Finance at the Andrews University.